Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this new session. I know I've been speaking to you for a long time, but we had a long gap. So I'm back again, courtesy AP State Skill Development Corporation. And this particular program is meant for those candidates who are aspiring to be a part of one of the best organizations in the world. And it's an Indian company, and it is Infosys. So what we're going to do in this particular program, I'm going to help you understand the entire pattern of Infosys Drive, as well as help you with certain skilling or certain training that's going to make your entire candidature successful. Now, before we start, please understand the critical aspect of the need for these kind of training. What you have learned over the period of time in terms of your academic curriculum is not really complete or sufficient when it comes to getting that job that you're aspiring for. You do have the technical ability, but you also need to learn your ability to express what you know and to stand out from the crowd. Now, there'll be lakhs and thousands of people who will be part of this entire campus drive, but it is you as an individual who wants to be successful. So APSSDC has put together this entire program to help you achieve that success. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the pattern. Now I will get you the updated pattern tomorrow in case if there is no change, but for now we will go with this pattern, and today I'm going to speak about interview essentials as well. So let me show you a picture. Now this is a picture of the Infosys office, which is in Hyderabad, and this is the Global Training Center. This is located in Mysore. Every person who's successful getting a job in Infosys will be a part of a training program which will be conducted at this particular location. Now, when you get chosen from a campus, it's because you are absolutely amazing, you are excellent. Now, the good news is you are already good, but what they're looking for, you're not aware, and this program will help you fill that gap. All right, let's move forward. Let's understand how Infosys picks the best talent from the campus. So you will have two rounds. The first one is the written round, and then you have the interview round. As far as the written round is concerned, that's the first level. Once you clear the written test, you will qualify for interviews. Now, written test, you will have two segments. One is the analytical and the second one is verbal ability. In analytical reasoning, you will have 30 questions that needs to be answered in 40 minutes, and it will have two subsets, which is quantitative aptitude and reasoning. Verbal ability, you will have 40 questions that needs to be answered in 30 minutes. I will quickly tell you what kind of questions you can expect in verbal ability. As far as interview is concerned, there will be two rounds, technical round and HR round. Please remember, you need to clear both these rounds to be successful. So basically, you have two areas which you need to be successful at: written test as well as interview, and you need to clear these two areas. Now, if you clear the analytical reasoning, but if you fail in verbal ability, you cannot go through to the interview round, which means you need to clear everything. Now, as far as aptitude is concerned, these are the topics that will be covered. I'm going to pause here so that you can make a note of these: data interpretation, syllogisms, data sufficiency, problems on trains, time and work, permutation and combinations, number series, coding and decoding, and puzzles. Verbal ability. You will have critical reasoning or theme detection. You will have fill in the blanks. You will have sentence correction. You will also have reading comprehension. Now, please remember, there will be two paragraphs that will be given with 5 questions each. All right. So there will be 2 reading comprehension, few questions on sentence correction, fill in the blanks, critical reasoning, and theme detection. I have done a lot of programs on MANATV as well as a YouTube channel you can take a look at for all these topics that I spoke about on critical reasoning, theme detection, fill in the blanks, sentence correction, and passage comprehension. In case if we are not able to accommodate these as a part of this particular program, you can go back, search with Infosys Placement Drive, MANATV, and you will find a lot of videos. I came across a lot of students in various districts when I was traveling since last 1 month, a lot of coordinators from APSSDC who categorically told me that a lot of colleges are still playing back these videos from YouTube. So you have a lot of learning material available on the internet. Go back, take a look at it. Now, as part of today's program and tomorrow's program, I'm going to talk essentially about interview essentials. But in case if the program gets extended, I will certainly train you on verbal ability as well. Okay? Now, in your free time, when you are not in your college premises, when you're not in your classroom, when you're not watching this program, you can also download a couple of apps, which is Pocket Verbal Ability and Pocket Aptitude. This is available on Google Play Store. I'm not very sure if it's available on the Apple Store, but most of us use Android phone, so this is available free of cost. Please download. It will allow you to practice and also answer a lot of questions. This is how the app looks like, the Pocket Verbal Ability. Very simple installation, very simple user interface. You have various categories. It will instantly give you the correct and incorrect answers as well. So we have for both verbal ability as well as aptitude. All right. Please make use of these free resources that is available in the internet. That's a very, very powerful tool. All right. Anything that you find in the internet, you can put that to use if you channelize your entire energy for your success. So please make use of these free resources. So for those who joined in late, please remember this is the entire pattern for Infosys. I'm going to pause so that you can make a note of it. You will have analytical reasoning. 30 questions needs to be answered in 40 minutes. 15 questions each for quantitative aptitude and reasoning. Verbal ability, you will have a total of 40 questions. Out of these 40 questions, you will have 10 questions coming from reading comprehension itself. Okay? The remaining 30 questions will get distributed among theme detection, fill in the blanks, and sentence correction. Clear? So let me go back. This is the topic for aptitude. Please make a note of these topics. These are the topics that you need to keep in mind when you're preparing. Again, you will find a lot of videos of APSSDC on MANATV YouTube channel. You can go through these videos and learn more. Clear? So now let me begin about talking about interview essentials. All right? So let me switch over to interview essentials. Now please remember, there will be lots and lots of participants and candidates who will be part of the interview process. The question is, what makes you different? There is one very critical aspect that you need to remember when we talk about interview, and that is you are attending one interview in one particular day if it's a part of a campus drive. If I'm talking about job mailer, that is very different. You will attend from one booth to another. You will keep switching back and forth. But if it's a campus drive and if it's only meant for Infosys or TCS or any other organization, you are attending just one interview. You're probably speaking to 2 people at a time or 3 or possibly just 1 person. At the max, you may have 2 rounds on a single day, which is technical round as well as HR round. But the interviewer who's sitting on the other side of the table, that person is talking to 100 or 200 candidates in one single day. The question is, how do you make an impression? How do you make sure he remembers you and he gives you the right kind of rating and marking? Question is, how are you different from everybody else? The essential factor that we need to keep in mind is 2 things. One is what you can do and how you do it. Now, the what factor and how factor is important, but the first thing that comes to the mind of the interviewer is your appearance. So a professional appearance is extremely important when we talk about interview. Hence, I'm going to start with appearance. I'm going to start with dress code. So ladies first, I'm going to talk about the dress code aspect. So here is for the ladies, if you choose to wear Western formal, it's absolutely fine, but most of you may not be comfortable with Western formal. So let's switch to Indian formal. So if you choose to wear Indian formal, these are Indian formal wear for women, for the girls. Anything that is classic, anything that is elegant and very, very simple. This is what is considered formal. But if you choose to wear something like this, which is very extravagant, these are the kind of dresses you choose to wear for any family function, for any kind of wedding, award function, please try to avoid these kind of dresses. The reason is, number one, these dresses are not easy to maintain. Number two, these are heavy and it's not going to make you feel comfortable. When you go for an interview, you're going to spend close to 4 to 5 hours in that particular campus, right? Because of the heat, dust, travel in the bus, even if it's your personal vehicle, please understand these kind of dresses that I showed, which you wear for wedding essentially, is not considered formal because it's not carried off as a formal and simple elegant dresses. These are something which is considered formal and simple. Now, as far as the footwear is concerned, if you are comfortable wearing heels, please go ahead. But if you're not comfortable, please don't wear heels. Try to wear flats like these. Now, something like these shoes like flip-flops and very casual shoes, these are absolutely prohibited. Please do not wear these kind of footwear. These are considered casual. These are not formal footwear. Okay? But when I'm talking about a formal footwear, you need to keep in mind that you need to feel comfortable in whatever footwear you are wearing. The same applies for your dresses as well. All right? Now, moving forward to men. If you know how to tie the knot of a tie, if the company or whichever organization you're going for is saying it's mandatory to wear a tie, then please wear a tie. If it's not, then it's absolutely fine to wear just trousers, shirt, but this belt is essential. Of course, the shoes and socks are essential. So without a tie also it's fine as long as it's formal. Now take a quick look at the trouser and the shirt. These are single tone shirt. These are considered formal. Now any shirt which has big checks like this, a shirt without a collar, the Chinese collar, shirt which is tucked out, these are absolutely no-no. Please do not wear shirts like these. Okay? Now coming to footwear, always, always, always wear formal shoes and leather shoes. It may not be pure authentic leather shoes because they are very expensive. Even if it's a hybrid leather or foam leather, it's absolutely fine. You may choose to wear shoes with laces or without laces, both are fine. But some people like me, I always prefer shoes with laces. Shoes without lace is a sign of laziness. So please avoid shoes without lace. Prefer a shoe with lace, and please make sure the shoe is nicely polished and it's clean. Okay? Shoes like these are considered informal and casual. These are more of party wear and sneakers and joggers and casual shoes. Please do not wear shoes like these. Now, the point that you need to keep in mind is, if you are wearing a black shoe, please listen to me carefully. If you are wearing a black shoe, your socks should be black, or the socks should match the color of the trouser. So if you are wearing a grey trouser, a dark grey or light grey, the socks should be the same color of your trouser or the same color of your shoes. Lot of people wear black shoes and white socks. Please don't make that mistake. It's a huge mistake that people do. Never make that mistake. And secondly, the socks should not be a casual socks like the ankle socks or half ankle socks. Please don't make that mistake. It should be a formal socks with a formal shoes. So these kind of shoes are not allowed. And if you wear a black shoe, the sock should also be black, or the sock should match the color of the trouser. Now coming to belt, the belt should match the color of your shoes. So if you're wearing a black shoe, you will wear a black belt. If your shoe is brown, your belt should also be brown. Okay? Now this is an acceptable belt because it's formal, but these kind of belts are considered informal. This is casual. Please don't wear these kind of belts. Okay? Now moving on to accessory. A watch is not mandatory, but if you choose to wear a watch, prefer a watch like this. This is for both men and women. Something which is classic dial, something which has needles, we call them analog watches. Please do not wear a digital watch. It can be a combination of digital and analog, that's absolutely fine, but please do not wear a watch which is casual like these. Now these are considered casual or informal watches. Please do not wear these kind of watches at all. Don't make this mistake. Even your watch should be formal. It could be a leather strap, it could be a metal strap, it's absolutely fine, but it should be formal. Clear? Now moving on. Writing instrument, your pen. Invest little bit of money, 30-40 rupees, and buy a pen which has a metal clip. Even if it's a plastic clip but looks like metal, this is fine. But using a transparent body pen like these or the use and throw pen like this, it's not appreciated. See, there is no rule in terms of pens, there is no rule in terms of watch. It's just that what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. That is what you need to keep in mind. Okay? Now moving on to top 10 questions that you can expect in an interview. Now before that, I want to quickly tell you something which is very essential for interview, and a lot of us make a mistake with this particular aspect. An interview is an interaction. What do I mean by this? There are two kind of interviews you will have, or two different rounds. One is the HR round and one is your technical round. If I'm asking a question in technical round, I'm just giving a very simple example. What do you mean by a database, or what does a database administrator do? Now it's an open-ended question. The answer could be various possibilities. If I ask a very simple technical question, what is 2 plus 2? The answer is 4. If your answer is 3.9 or if your answer is 4.1 or anything, basically anything other than 4, it's infinite possibilities. Alright? Those infinite answers are considered wrong because there is only one accurate answer when we talk about technical answers. But when I ask a question on HR round, for example, I ask, who's your inspiration, who's your idol? One person could say father, one person could say mother, one person could say teacher, friend. You could say a famous personality like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. It could be any possibility in this world. Can I say that only one answer is correct and remaining answers are incorrect? No. That is the difference between a technical interview and an HR interview. Because an HR interview is about interaction. They are trying to understand your point of view, your perspective. So it's not about a right answer or wrong answer. It's about how you portray, how you demonstrate, how you express your point of view, and how you express how good you are in your subject knowledge. Clear? That's why I say nothing right or wrong. It's all about perspective or your point of view. Now essentially I do not talk about top 10 questions because people memorize these answers and they go back and answer these questions. but it's essential for me to explain how does an interview work. So I'm going to pause here. This is this slide talks about interview D1, D2, D3, D4. I want you to make a note of it, and please try to tell me, or you can just if you're watching it in YouTube, you can answer on the chat window. What do you mean by D1, D2? What is the difference? Just try to guess an answer. What is D1, D2, and what is the difference? All right. Okay, if anybody wants to answer on the YouTube chat window, please go ahead. I will take a look at it and I will provide you with the correct answer anyways. Now let's begin. Now D1 is about yourself. The typical question every interview has is, tell me more about yourself. Why do they ask this question? They ask this question for two specific reasons. One, they all understand that when you go for an interview, you're actually very nervous and you want to get that ray of confidence when you're talking. And we always feel confident when we talk about ourselves, right? Because we are aware of us, we are aware of all the answers. If I ask you a question which you may not be aware of, then you may not feel confident. That's why first question they always ask is, tell me more about yourself, because you are aware of it and you will feel more confident. Second reason that they ask this question is to make the person feel comfortable with the interviewer. When you go into the interviewer's room, you are always scared, you are always very nervous, you don't know what to expect in that interview. That's why they ask this question to make you feel comfortable, just to settle down mentally as well as physically. When you clasp your hand, when you press your fingers, that's a sign of nervousness. So your body language also matters a lot. I'll talk about the body language as well, so don't worry about it. So they ask this question to make you feel comfortable, to give you the confidence that you are good and you can give these answers. Now, any question that they ask about yourself, you're already aware of it, because you're going to talk about your name, your education background, your family background, your strength, your weakness, your hobbies, all these aspects you're going to talk about. I will also tell you in what flow you should give these answers. Now, what is D2? D2 is a question they ask where they get the input from D1. For example, they ask about D1, tell me more about yourself, and you say, I am from Vijayawada, I am pursuing my BSc final year, my father is a government employee, my mother is a teacher, I have two siblings, they are studying in schools right now, and my hobby is reading books. Now they ask a question, D2, is who is your favorite author, or what kind of books do you like? Now that's a D2 question. They ask this question to dig deeper into your D1 answer, and they also want to know if you are lying about any answer. So if you give a very generic answer, I like listening to music, I like watching TV, I like chatting with my friends. Now these are not productive hobbies. Chatting with your friends is good, but don't use that in an interview, because it's a sign of time waste. I like watching TV, but what do you watch? Be specific. I like to watch programs on history. I like to watch National Geographic. I like to watch Animal Planet, because I get to understand our entire ecology, our entire environment, how animal intelligence is very different from human intelligence. There's a lot to learn. I like to watch sports. I like to watch cricket, because it tells me about teamwork. It tells me about confidence. It tells me about determination. Even if a batsman doesn't get a century, next game he goes and plays well. It also tells me if you don't perform well, you cannot exist in the team. So when you use these as an example of your hobbies, it talks about how you are utilizing your time for your benefit. Now going back to D1, when you give these answers as I like reading books, D2 question will be what kind of books you like, who's your favorite author. Now, they are asking these questions to dig deeper, to know more, but please remember, these are not, they sound like open-ended question, but it's not essentially an open-ended question or close-ended question. Or let me put it the other way, it sounds like a close-ended question, but it's not a close-ended question. Now, what do we mean by open-ended question and close-ended question? For example, if I ask, did you have your lunch? Yes, no. That's a close-ended question. If I ask an open-ended question, what is your aspiration? What is your goal? It's a long answer. Likewise, if I ask, who's your favorite author? What kind of books you like to read? It sounds like a close-ended question, but the answer is supposed to be an open-ended answer. Sir, I like to read books which talks about our history. I like to read books on management. I like to read books on personality development. Reading books from your academic curriculum is not a hobby. That's your duty. You need to do that. There are a lot of candidates I have interviewed. They say, I like reading books. What kind of books? They say subject books. That's not a hobby. Hobbies and interests are something you invest time, which is not mandatory. You make a choice. You derive a very different kind of benefit out of it, which builds your personality, which defines who you are. So reading your academic book is not a hobby. Can I say eating food is a hobby? No. Can I say breathing oxygen is a hobby? No. Can I say brushing teeth is your hobby? No. That's your daily routine that you're supposed to do. So please don't make a mistake of using these as a response that reading subject book is my hobby. Okay? So D1 is about yourself. D2, a detail about yourself. Then what do we mean by D3? Now if you look at the slide, the D3 says impromptu questions. What do we mean by impromptu? These are spontaneous questions. What do we mean by this? Spontaneous questions are something which you cannot anticipate, which you cannot prepare. You are right now preparing for interview essentials. Top 10 questions I'm going to train you on. But when I talk about D3, even I cannot predict. For example, you go for an interview, question number 1, tell me more about yourself. You gave a very elaborate answer. Question number 2, you said you like painting. Who is your inspiration? What kind of painting do you like to do? Is it nature? Is it portrait? Again, you're giving answer. For example, D2, I ask, you said you love playing cricket. So what did you learn from the game of cricket to help you in your career? That's a D2. Now, D3 question is completely unexpected. For example, I have this particular bottle in my hand and I say, I am a blind person. I don't know what is this. Please explain to me. Now, can you anticipate this question? Definitely not. But is it a very challenging question? Definitely yes. The reason D3 questions are important because it checks two things. One is the stress level. How do you manage the stress as a candidate? How do you manage your confidence? Because you're not aware of this question that's going to come to you. But how do you think and how do you frame your sentence and give an answer? Third, how are you responding to a situation which you're not prepared for? You are going through training to answer question 1 and 2. Everybody will train you, or everybody is going to get trained on tell me about yourself. People even memorize the answer. That is the worst thing in an interview. My name is Ron. I am doing my graduation in my second year, final year. My hobbies are, my strength is this, my weakness is this. I have these many people in my family. My father does this, my mother does this. You are running like a Rajdhani Express because you have memorized the answer. But D3, you cannot memorize because you can't even predict what the question or can't even anticipate what kind of question that's going to come. This is where they are checking your ability to articulate, your ability to communicate, and your confidence level and how you're managing that entire stress. This is where you are getting judged because you cannot prepare for this. The reason it is important is because when you start working in Infosys or any other organization, they will train you, but they will train you only on a set number of scenarios. If you get an email or a call from a client in a project, which you haven't prepared. How do you respond to that? You can't say, I can't do it. You have to do it when you're working in that organization. But how do you manage that is what your capability and your competency is. That is why we ask D3 question. All right? Now, what do we mean by D4? D4 says shuffle. What do we mean by this? While you're answering D3 questions, suddenly the interview shifts to D1. Say, for example, you're defining how the yellow color bottle looks like, and suddenly the interviewer will stop you and say, wait, what was your percentage in second year? Sir, my percentage was 78%. Okay, please continue. Okay, the bottle is yellow in color. We can use it as a container to store water or any kind of liquid beverage. While you're answering, suddenly they stop you and they ask, okay, in cricket, who is your favorite wicket keeper? Again, you think and you say, okay, probably Dhoni is your favorite wicket keeper. Then you continue again. The reason they are stopping and they are asking you question from D1 and D2 to check if you are able to shift your focus. While you're working, you on an email in Infosys, you will probably get a call or somebody from a person sitting next to you will come and ask you a question. How do you focus or shift your attention? We all think multitasking is very important, but human brain is not designed for multitasking. Okay? That's why you take some time, fraction of second, to change your focus from one thing to another. All right? That's why D4 checks, are you able to shift your focus? Are you able to hold your confidence? Are you feeling nervous and giving away everything and losing the entire battle? That is what D4 is all about. Clear? Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at top 10 questions that we can expect in an interview. The first one is self-introduction. Tell me about yourself. Now when they ask this question, essentially you need to talk about your name, where are you from, your education background in reverse order. What do we mean by reverse order? You will speak about your final year first, then second year, then first year. Then you will speak about your intermediate results and matriculation. All right. Family background in brief. You don't have to elaborate on your family background. Please remember, the company is hiring you, not your family. So speak about them in brief. Just the occupation of your parents is good enough. Okay. Example. For example, let me use a random name. My name is Subhash. I live in Vizag. I have completed my I'm pursuing. Now this is when I say I completed, that's for people who have already finished the graduation. But if you are in final year, you can say I'm pursuing. Don't say pursuing. I'm pursuing my BSc or BCom or BBA final year in whichever college you are studying in. I live with my family of 4 members. My father is a farmer. My mother is a housewife. I have one sibling who's doing her graduation. Whatever the facts are. Okay. Now you can talk about your strength and weakness as a part of self-introduction. It's absolutely fine. Please remember, the more you speak in an interview, the better for you. If you do not speak, you're definitely failing in the interview. They want to know more about you. That's why if you don't speak at all, for every question, if you're giving just one word answer, that means, number one, you're not interested in the job. Somebody just forced you to go for that particular interview. And it also reflects lack of confidence. All right? So please be elaborate. It's absolutely fine to talk about your strength and weakness. I'll tell you what are considered as appropriate strength and weakness. Okay? What are your hobbies? I like reading books, playing cricket, and watching informative program on television. These are some of the acceptable hobbies. If you say chatting with friends, browsing internet, please don't use those as hobbies. If you say I like to travel, you better have traveled. I've met a lot of people who haven't traveled anywhere, but they say that I have traveled a lot, I like traveling. So if you haven't even traveled, don't use that as a hobby. If you say photography is my hobby, please have basic knowledge in terms of photography so that you can answer questions. Using a phone to take pictures is not photography. So please remember, for example, if you're talking in an interview and you say photography is my hobby, obviously I will ask what kind of photography you do. I take pictures of friends. That is not a hobby. That's considered as something you're using your phone. But even if you're using a high-end camera, please dig in deeper and know a little bit more about the technical aspect of photography as well. Okay? What are your strengths? Now, strengths are something that helps your personality to build your career in an organization, and it's also something that helps the organization. For example, if I say my strength is I can lift 50 kgs dumbbell, that does not help the organization. So you need to talk about the strength that helps the organization. For example, my strengths are I work hard, my dedication, my integrity, my adaptability, my teamwork. These are my strengths. And when you talk about these strengths, you better have more answers, elaborate answers. For example, adaptability. So I am a very adaptable person. I am very flexible. I consider that particular quality in me as a personality as my strength, because adaptability is very important when we talk about a successful career. For example, sir, if I join a particular team and after 3 months I need to change that, I need to move to another team, I need to get adapted to the people, I need to get adapted to the work environment. For my entire life, I lived in Vijayanagaram. So I know the people, I know the culture here, I know the weather, I know everything. But once I get the job, I will have to move to another city. So I need to adapt to that culture, I need to adapt to that environment. If I don't do that, I cannot succeed in my career. That's why I feel being able to adapt to different scenarios or different environments is very, very important. I have that competency, that's why it is my strength. Now, teamwork. I will be part of a team. It could be just one-person team, but still I need to work with others. When I was doing a project in my college, I understood the importance of teamwork, because every person was given a particular portion of that particular project. I was given my part, that I had to build just the database. One person was given the task of building the user interface. And I realized that if all of us are not doing our part of role properly, the entire work will fail. And that is what I learned when I used to play cricket, sir. So there are 11 players in the cricket team, but everybody has their role. There are 4 bowlers, 1 wicket keeper, there are 6 batsmen, but everybody will have to do their job properly. You cannot expect every batsman to score 100 runs. You cannot expect every bowler to take 10 wickets. So everybody contributes to the maximum possible ability of their own capability. But if they don't do that, the team fails. I learned that when I used to play cricket with my friends, even in my college, and I understood the practical application when I was doing my project, and I realized that teamwork is very, very important, and I have that as my strength. When you give such elaborate answer with examples, with your real life experience, you are going to definitely impress your interviewer. That's very important. Moving on to the next one, which is what are your weaknesses. Now you should not, it's not appropriate to mention weakness in your resume, but you should talk about your weakness. Now you can talk about weakness which is actually a strength. We just make it sound like weakness, but it is actually a strength. And it all depends on how you portray it. For example, my weaknesses are, I feel nervous when I have to go interact with a group of people. So the thing is, I feel nervous when I have to speak to more number of people. That's because in my entire school life and college life, I lived in the same locality, same town, so I know everybody. But when I meet strangers, I feel little nervous. I have the fear. That's because I haven't interacted with anyone. But what I have done since last 2 months is I'm attending a lot of seminars and attending a lot of group discussions with different agencies, different consultants. That's how I'm building my confidence, because it's not possible for me to know everybody. When I'm speaking to strangers, I still need to have the same confidence that I carry when I speak to known people. I had been working on it, and I'm very sure that I will build on it more. Please remember, when you talk about weakness, you also need to talk about your action plan. Okay? For example, second point, you say, I am very straightforward, sir, and that is my weakness. That is actually not a weakness, it's a strength. But you need to tell them how it is a weakness. So sometimes what happens is, when somebody asks for any feedback, I tell them directly that what is not good, and they don't feel good about it. So I need to learn a very diplomatic way of putting forward these feedback or any kind of criticism. But I don't like to talk behind anybody's back. That is what the strength is. But you're showing it as a weakness, that being straightforward is your weakness. People talk in front of you. They also talk in your absence. When they talk something bad in your absence, that's a very bad habit. You are basically saying that I always talk in front, I don't talk in anybody's back, because I like being straightforward, and some people don't like it, don't appreciate it. That's why you say it's a weakness. Trusting others, being stubborn. For example, if you give me a task, I will definitely do it. I won't look at the time, I won't look at anything. I'm very stubborn that way. That's actually a strength. Laziness. Why is laziness a weakness? So if I'm not interested to do something, I don't do it. Laziness also means if one task takes 50 or say half an hour to do, I feel very lazy. I find shortcuts to do it faster. So basically it's a strength, but you're showing that as a weakness. Like this, there are various possibilities. There are a lot of words you can use. You can play with the words where you talk about weakness, but actually it is a strength. Okay? So what you are going to do, you're going to list down and you're going to message back on the YouTube chat window. I'm going to take a look at some of your answers and provide you direct feedback. Okay? So please provide your answers on the YouTube chat window, what your weakness is, what your strength is. Besides that, apart from that, also ask any questions that you have in terms of successful interview. I'm going to see you tomorrow again at the same time. Like I said, I'm talking about top 10 questions. We are done with only 4. I'm going to talk about the remaining 6 questions, and I will also give you certain tips in terms of body language as well. Thanks for tuning in today. I will see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Bye-bye.